is Percival Uwechue. Currently, my role is that of an airport manager with Etihad Airways in Lagos. I have been in the industry for quite a bit, and part of my presentation is supposed to take care of my background. So if you don't mind if I leave that bit, because it connects with the presentation I'm going to be delivering, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I go into it, yeah?
Okay.
Please. Okay. If you can't see it, please let me know. But I'm sharing it at the moment. Is it okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Interesting topic it is. I've worked in and around the airports for almost 30 years, and with different airlines at different airports across the world. So when I was approached for this, I found it quite interesting and a bit at a loss because I didn't know where to start from, given how long I've been in the industry, the challenges I've faced, the experiences I have, the places I've been, what happens in and around the airports, how people see the airports from the passenger's perspective, how I see the airport, and how we who work and practically live in the airport see the airport as well. So I just started out, I think it would make sense. People take it for granted what an airport is. It's basically a complex built to house people, businesses of different types, and basically to help process people going from point A to point B. So the airport is the connection between the passenger and the destination. The question, like you asked me, talking about my my experience, I thought to myself, and I looked at it from the perspective of this proverb as it is, to know where you are going. In other words, all those aspiring and wondering what the airport is like. I would like to work in an airport. I would like to work within an airport. I would like to work for an airport. How do I get to do that? It comes back to the question of those who are already there and who can share their experience. That's why I say, ask those who are coming back. Give it 9 more years, I'll be retiring, but doesn't mean I can't still work within the airport. And what have I done in those 20 plus years of my life? I've worked in the ticketing department, I've worked in airport operations, I've been a load master, traveling with aircrafts, making sure there's safety, there's weight, there's balance, safe operations. I've recruited, I've managed airports, I've had airport managers report into my role. So it's quite a large, trying to put the years into perspective is just, it cuts across everything except flying an aircraft and maintaining the technical aspect of an aircraft. But the different aspects of the airport I've actually worked in. So I hope through this presentation, people who have questions, who have doubts, who have things they've been wondering, how does it fit into where in the airport structure, can please leave me questions at the end of, or ask me questions at the end of the presentation. Now, looking at an airport, from Nigerian perspective, if you've only flown in the domestic arena, you don't see much of it. But when you look at the global perspective, look at USA, China, Japan, United Kingdom, France, and you look at the numbers of people who pass through airports every year. This data is from last year, since we are still, well, 2020 basically is on pause at the moment, but the figures I chose to work with, which is actually available on Google, is what each of these airports have done. But what do these numbers actually mean? These numbers actually mean trade to some, they mean tourism to some, they mean opportunities to people in terms of migration, excuse me. They also mean businesses to others. But within the beauty of all of this, it's also criminal opportunity for some as well. You're talking about drug peddlers, people who trade in rare species of animals, gems and all of that, stolen artwork, everybody uses an airport. So an airport is non-discriminatory. It's an open field for everybody to pass through. That said, this is also a huge window of opportunity for countries, for continents to build connections, to build relationship, and to build businesses as well. When you walk through an airport as an ordinary person, and I mean that with all humility, ordinary person is a traveler. An average traveler picks up a bag, decides they are going somewhere, they book a ticket, they book holiday packages, and they go through an airport. This is what you see in the airports. Duty-free shops, coffee shops, people going, people coming, people waiting, people arriving, people departing, all under one terminal. This is what you see. But what you see here isn't all there is to an airport. There's a back end of it. And that is where all these people come in. You see people at check-in counter. What is their job? Basically ensure that the person presenting is actually the person traveling by checking your documents. The person presenting a suitcase actually owns the suitcase they're presenting. So it requires a lot of patience, a lot of engagement, a lot of questions being asked, a lot of interest in what your motive for traveling is, because there are a few dots that you must connect as a passenger or would-be passenger to go through this first process at the airport. And once this is done, that is when you appear in that huge space that I showed earlier, which is the terminal building, having crossed the immigration point and the primary security point at the airport. But what you don't see outside of the terminal building, at least not in most airports, is the other functions that happen, i.e. the catering companies who load the meals we eat in the aircraft, the ground handling company, those are the people under the wing who make sure the bags are loaded to the correct aircraft going to the same place you say you are going. And at the same time, you have the gentlemen who ensure that the aircraft is airworthy. What do I mean by airworthy? It's just like your car. You check your brakes, you check your oils, you check that your steering and your automatic transmission fluids are all on point, are all in the state they should be to make the car motorable. Your brakes are working. It's the same process we have with the aircraft. The only difference with the aircraft is there are a lot of documentation that must go into it. There are a lot of checks that must be done before an aircraft can be certified okay to move people or cargo. And like we say in the industry, fuel is life. You can have everybody on board, your catering, your cargo, your passengers, and all of it. If you have no fuel, you can't go anywhere. So fuel for us is life. And that's where the fueling company as well come in. Now with all of this, this is the human interaction aspect of the airport. But the airport also has an aspect that is basically regulatory, administrative, security, the invincible part of the airport that you actually would not see as a general traveling public. And the organization of the airport, I try to streamline it to cut across every country or airport without giving it specific name. You have the Civil Aviation Authority, who are like the airport and aviation industry is governed by a body called the ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. They create the rules, the standards we must uphold, the way airports should be run or aerodromes should be run. These are the regulators. And in each country, the Civil Aviation Authority is that arm of the International Civil Aviation Organization that takes care of individual country as a whole, but in specific airports with standards set. Now, you come to the airport. The airport itself is a building. It's like I rent an apartment. I have a landlord. With this landlord, I have a contract. In this contract, it stipulates what I can or cannot or may do with the property, in the property, around the property, with the property. That is what the airport management company is about. They build, they operate, and they process passengers. Of course, the airport management makes money from all of us in one form or the other. The tickets we buy, the meal we buy on board, the fuel the airlines provide, and all of those ancillary aspects of aviation industry. generates revenue, and the airport makes money through this. It's one of the areas they make money from. But in providing all of this service, we also cannot not pay attention to the key factor that drives this industry, which is first, safety, next, security. And the two actually are interchangeable and also interwoven. You can't take one away from the other. Safety, what do we mean? Physical safety. Airport is enclosed to prevent acts of unlawful interference. I'm sure you are aware, or we all remember the issue of the 9/11. That's been the biggest in the industry so far. Touch wood, we don't hope to see that again. But that was a major catastrophe that started with a breach of safety and security. So it was security breach first that led to a safety issue that led to the crash. So it wasn't just the people in the aircraft that died. Sorry, it's a sad scenario, but I need to use this for sake of emphasis. It's also the human beings in a building that was attacked by the aircraft, that the aircraft was used as a weapon to attack. So in the airport, you have the aviation security. There's the physical security, and there's the not intangible security, which is people monitoring what is going on without you actually aware it's being monitored until you do something that you shouldn't do, and then somebody says, hello, let's have a chat. A typical case in point is border controlling. There's a program on Nat Geo Wild, or is it, National Geographic, they show in Australia how borders are manned through airports especially. Then you have the state security. Part of the International Civil Aviation Organization's overview or oversight is security. Safety, security, passenger processing is mostly what we do, but the part that we don't see, but we also execute as airport workers, is the security aspect. That's why we ask you those questions at check-in. Did you pack your bag yourself? Have you left your bag with anybody you don't know? Did somebody pack the bag for you? Have you left your bag unattended at any point in time? Did somebody give you something to carry? All these questions are not just because people want to ask questions. Those questions are part of our safety and security oversight as an airline. I need to make sure that when you bring your bag, that bag is safe enough. I need to trust that what you've kept in there, you packed it yourself. If any of the questions asked of you receives a negative answer, then further check will need to be done. And even if you say, yes, you packed and all of that, and we still have a reason to believe there's something that needs to be further checked, then that happens. Remember, when your bags go down the chute, you don't see them. They go through a screening process that x-rays your bag. So if anything further is found in that bag, it is kept aside and you are called to come and explain or open your bag for further verification. At the end of the day, these security processes actually are the things that engender confidence in people. People see that this airline actually, first is the airport. How much of security, protection, safety controls are in place? Okay, they seem to be serious about it. I would love to fly through this airport again. And then you get to the airline. Individual airlines have their own layer of security, which they must execute. And in doing all of this, it's just to let the passengers know your safety and security above all else is our biggest priority. We won't be in business if we're unsafe or deemed unsafe. So you have federal laws as well. That's another aspect of security that you may not be aware. Well, passports are being checked. There are people on lists that government are they're called persons of interest. That's why we go through the passport check. If such people come across, also the airport serves as a gateway into and out of a country. So the level of security is quite high. Sometimes we see it as overbearing, but there's a huge reason why that is in place. Now, like you have the traffic police on the streets or in the traffic lights, the speed cameras and all of that, we have the same in the aviation industry. This is manned and managed by the Air Traffic Management Authority. Different reasons. One, we need to know which aircraft is coming. Is it airworthy, i.e. is it safe to come into the country? Does it meet what the regulations of the airport is? If it does, fine. The next thing, if it comes in, we need to make money from this. So there are certain informations that the Airspace Management Authority require for every airport coming into its airport or overflying its airspace. That an airport is quiet at night does not mean the airspace is quiet as well. I'm sure you sit in your different parts of the world, you hear aeroplanes flying over your cities or your areas of residence, and you're wondering, but the airport is closed, why is it flying? The sky is a road for everybody. I don't know the easiest way to put that. But the sky is a highway, super highway of sorts for everybody. So aircrafts crisscross 24 hours of the day. And that's the job of the air traffic management. If somebody is not overseeing that, remember, airplanes take off, you don't see anything once you're in the sky. So somebody is talking them through what levels they should fly, what directions they should go, what speed they should go. These are the people who keep us and aircrafts taking off and landing safely. Air traffic management and traffic control are what these people are called. Now, how are all of this interdependent and connected? The airport is just like a clearinghouse for everybody. Tickets is sold to a passenger. Passenger turns up at the airport. The security man's job is to ensure people that the state is interested in doesn't go out or don't go out. So he checks your documents. Once he's done with you, you go to the check-in counter. The person at the check-in counter, the primary job is to ensure the name on the passport and the ticket match the face in front of them. Then they accept your baggage. They check your baggage for weight, which requires 1, revenue to the airline and to the airport, and 2, safety for the aircraft, because every single ounce that goes into the aircraft must be accounted for. Once you go through that point, the bags go down. The airport security take over. The state security take over. The bomb squad take over. And everybody run through your bags without physically going into it and very quickly pass you on to the next person. Once you are finished at this point, you go through immigration. They keep count of people who come in and go out. That's how come I could give the figures about the number of traffic through Hatfield, Chengdu, Haneda, and the rest of those airports around the world. Every single passenger going through the airport is accounted for. At the end of the year, it shows how busy the airport is. It also tells the airport they need to expand, they need to change the mode of operation, i.e. if you're a 12-hour airport, you need to move to an 18-hour airport. If you're an 18-hour airport, you might consider doing a 24-hour service. If you have inadequate parking slots or positions in your airport, it also drives capacity building, human capacity building, infrastructure capacity building. It helps the airport also project their revenue for 5, 10, 20 years. As we are speaking now, Frankfurt, Heathrow, I think are considering building a 3rd runway. Yeah, a 3rd runway. I think Frankfurt already has 3, but all of these are driven by the number of traffic that pass through. Yes, COVID has hit the industry. Numbers are down by like 73% last time I checked, but slowly it's all coming back again. Slowly it's all coming back again. And all of these people passing through the airport, there are people who do businesses there. Duty-free shops, restaurants, name it, salons, massage parlors, anything you want in an airport, depending on where you are in the world, you get. So the airport itself is the marketplace. Sorry for lack of a better word to use in describing an airport, but the airport itself is a marketplace. All of these people are connected and interdependent. If certain information that should get to the security people don't get to them, your aircraft cannot leave. That delay will affect your connection and other things down the line in operation. If the people that should get the information about catering don't get it, so you see that the catering, the ground handling, the security, the air traffic management, the different aspects of the airport are connected. But will these people be there if passengers are not flying? No. That is why I said there is a connection between all of these factors. I hope I've made the best of the time given, but basically, it's an interesting space. It's an interesting space because for me, I was looking for something when I got out of university that would hold my interest, something that would give me a reason to get up in the morning and go, something that I will not be bored doing. And I assure you, actually, it's 27 years and counting. I've never regretted a moment of my life working in an airport.
Wow.
It's taken me around the world. I've worked in airports that leave my jaw on the floor. I've had encounters and experiences that leaves you agape, you know. So the industry, well, because of technology, a lot is changing in the industry. Artificial intelligence also is having its impact and its incursion into the industry. I choose to look at it as an opportunity in the sense that the things I learned to do manually, I mean, think of the tickets you use now. It's electronic tickets. 3, 4, 5, 6 inputs, boom, you have a ticket. When I started out, it was an hour, 2-hour process. You had to manually calculate every step of the ticket because any mistake you made messes the passenger's journey up. So artificial intelligence is actively with us in the industry as well. Tickets are being written electronically. Booking, which used to be you have to go somewhere physically. You can do it online now. You can actually book one airline through 4 different travel agencies or 5 travel agencies and also go online and book it yourself. But artificial intelligence is such that it's coming to the industry that is what actually goes through the booking platform and eliminates double booking to help us maximize the space we have. In terms of weight and balance, it's the same thing. Things we used to manually calculate for give information, passenger weight, passenger gender, cargo weight, catering weight, size of bag, weight of a child. You calculate all of this in a document manually and you hand it over to the pilot, and the pilot manually imputes this. All of this has been taken over by electronic alternative. So as the industry is growing, I mean, there's already talk of a pilotless aircraft. You're having a driverless car. We're also facing that in the industry. The irony of it is a plane, yes, now can take off, but a plane can land itself. So coming into sorry?
I said no, thank you.
But it's already happening. You just don't know it. Aircrafts there are some mandatory requirements to do auto landing. You sit in your chair having an ice cream or watching a movie and the plane lands. It could be auto landing. So all of this are things that make the industry interesting. But it's changing in dynamics. It's still a lot more inclusive in terms of what individual is interested in. There's the opportunity to be a pilot. There's the opportunity to be a cabin crew. There's the opportunity to be line maintenance personnel. There's the check-in aspect of it. There's the airport operation. It's a huge space with different opportunities. Airport is just one aspect of aviation. There's sales, there's cargo, there's ticketing, there's line maintenance, there's training. There's so much that can be done. It's just a question of interest. But for me, I think I'm just living a dream. I wake up, I go, no complaints whatsoever. Never had a complaint. Of course, there are challenges, don't get me wrong. But I think it's grace for me that I actually find something I love and I enjoy doing. So there's never a dull moment. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and I'm open to your questions, please.
Oh, I've got plenty of questions. I'm sure you saw me scribbling away.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was wondering, what is she writing?
Oh, I didn't even want to show you how many questions I've got here. But one of the first questions I had, you even answered it whilst you even answered many of the questions I had whilst you were talking. But I was literally gonna ask, what kept you so interested in the 30 years? Like, what is one thing that happened? What is one encounter that you had that you just thought, I can never leave this industry. I have to keep coming back.
It's one, there's never a dull moment. I unapologetically an adrenaline junkie, if you say so. You come to the airport every day and you're wondering, I'm wired to think what can go wrong, what may go wrong. So you come in with a mind to solve problems. You're coming with a mind to help people. You're coming with a mind to make a difference. Of course, and everybody here at some point or the other has been through an airport and had not so positive an experience going through an airport. Yes, we have our own issues in the industry as well. But the beauty of this industry is you meet people that you would never believe ordinarily you would meet. So it's a wonderland. Let me just put it that way. And I'm highly state.
Oh, it sounds like you love it. It sounds like you love it.
I do. You know, you come there, nothing gives as much joy as solving somebody's problem. You know, the airport is such an anxiety. Well, the airport I work in, Lagos, for instance, people come in there and you see a full-grown adult is lost because of the multiple layer of expectations of different people, different aspects of their journey, different touch points. So your job primarily is to put them at ease. And how you do this is what determines the person's experience, one, of the airport, two, of the airline, and generally of the city or the country as they were.
Okay.
So you are a problem solver. You're like a patron saint of travelers as well, because all the problems they have, they turn to you, and you must be able to solve them. If not, you must be able to give enough response or answers to their query to give them the confidence to continue their journey. Otherwise, they'll turn around and walk away.
And be even more confused. No, I think you were right to say you're an adrenaline junkie, because when you said pilotless planes and you didn't shake with fear, you seem to really enjoy the idea. Is that a way you travel yourself?
I've experienced it a few times, especially when it was easy to sit in the cockpit. You see it.
Oh,
the first time that happened to me, I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not happening. No, it's not happening.
Yeah.
I think I was standing in Johannesburg. This was in mid-90s. And I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. And yeah, he did. And I'm like, whoa, this is interesting. And subsequently, I've had those experiences. It's interesting how those things lift off. I mean, take a 380, for instance. An A380 is the largest aircraft now, apart from the Beluga. I'm talking commercial aircraft. It's the A380. Okay. And the A380 is half a ton, 500,000 kilograms, I think, of mass. And it takes off, it stays in the air, it travels, and it lands. So imagine the amount of effort and work and coordination that goes into that, not in the creating the aircraft itself, but into ensuring that that plane takes off safely, departs and lands where it's going safely.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when you think that your action or a lack of it can be responsible for a loss that huge, the magnitude of responsibility, depending on what part of the touch points of the operation you are in, humbles you.
Yeah,
because these are people who have left their families and thinking to themselves, yeah, let's go. And you need to be present in every step of what you are doing to be sure that the right information is done. Where you should put a positive sign and you put a negative sign, you've caused a problem. So people must trust that the training you've been given, you are actually putting it into practice judiciously. That in itself is scary. Every time my plane takes off, I say a little prayer and I walk away, believing everybody has done what they should have been doing or what they should have.
Yeah. Did you say touch wood?
Yeah, touch wood, we're still taking off and we're still landing.
Yeah, that is, I think it's crazy to think that as a passenger, you might not know that the plane that you're on is even pilotless in the first place. And you still land, you still depart so safely, and you might have never known. Or is that something that you're told before you got on the plane?
The industry is driven by information. Sometimes you ask yourself, do I really need to hear all of this? Why don't you just get it on with and let me go on? But we have to give those informations. The pilotless aircraft, I don't think they've put that into commercial use yet, but the auto landing definitely happens. The important thing is we must give information. That's why you hear pilots say things like, we're going through a pocket of turbulence, the plane is going to lose altitude. For some, too much information, I don't need to know. But for some, why didn't you give me the information so I'll be prepared mentally for it?
Me, I'm the passenger that doesn't want to know. I'd rather not hear anything. I'd rather not know a thing.
Yeah.
Let me even look through the rest. I've got so many questions here. I had some before you started your presentation and some during. So I was just scribbling everything down. So let me find one for you. Oh, this is one that actually piqued my interest before we got on the call. I said, do you find you're out of touch with communities in general as you're always interacting with different cultures on a day-to-day basis?
No, I don't. If I understand you, do I feel disconnected from my primary community because I stay or I work at the airport? Actually, I don't. The beauty of, I think it's, I'm trying to remember the name of the historian that said something like, there's no education as in-depth as travel. You know, in traveling, you learn so much. It's not formal education, but you learn a lot. So, take for instance, when I worked in Sierra Leone 20-something years ago, and then I worked in Central Africa, Congo, the two Congos. Funny enough, the two Congos are just a bridge apart or a river apart, but they are completely opposite of each other. Congo Brazzaville is very calm. Congo Kinshasa is like the Wild West. No disrespect meant. But you find out that in a space of 25 minutes, cultures change, people change, languages change, and you find out what is acceptable where you're coming from. It's taboo where you're at. So it constantly helps you. It makes you a dynamic person. That's the way I see myself. I live for the next trip. But living for the next trip, the beauty of it is everywhere I've been, everywhere I go, when I come back, I meet somebody from that country in the course of my job. It could be that my experience in that country that I bring to bear to solve a problem with them. So you find out that there's no vacuum anywhere in knowledge. Whatever it is you experience in different places, there's always a point where you reach for that experience to solve a problem. Even if it's just to bridge a gap. The man is shouting, he's very upset, and I just say to him in his language, sorry for the problem, sir. If it's a language, I can say a lot of words in different languages. But the important thing is, I meet somebody who is obviously Japanese and is having a problem, and I say hello to him first in his language, and I bow to him as it is done in his culture, that stops him dead in his track. If he was in the process of blowing a gasket, losing it, and you say that, it has a very strong impression on him. He learns, he suddenly gets a grip and decides, you know what, okay, let's not go there. And a new chapter is opened.
Wow.
You know, so it's, in itself, culture is a tool. It's an experience, number one, but it also becomes a tool in the hands of whoever is using it for whatever you want to use it for.
That's very true. That's very true. And like when you first started in like the airport industry, is that something that you struggled with? Maybe you found you weren't as dynamic as you were now to then, or is it a part of yourself that you've always been kind of familiar with?
There are two angles to that question. One, being new in any job whatsoever, you have your learning curve. But there are certain skills that either you are born with or part of your nurture that actually help you ease into a role you are in. I see myself as a people person. I love meeting people. It doesn't take me anything to strike a conversation with an absolute stranger. So it's as if I was purpose-built for the work or the job, for the vocation I'm in.
Okay.
Talking to strangers does nothing for me. It's a joy that you are breaking the barrier, either ethnic, tribal, racial, with someone, or culture, with somebody you've never known, may never see again. But that point in time when you engage the person, you bridge a gap and you solve a problem, or you make create a friendship that lasts beyond that situation.
Wow.
So yes, I've had my challenging periods, I've had my tough moments, but the beauty of it is, in the industry, if you work, you're lucky to be engaged in a company that sees you as an asset, that sees you being the driver of the business, and the company invests in developing you. It actually can be a very rewarding career. I've worked in, this is my 5th airline, a rarity in Nigeria. Sorry, I say that with all humility, but it's the truth. No, that's why I say with all humility, this is the 5th airline I'm working in. And I worked with Lufthansa, I worked with South Africa Airways, I worked with Virgin Nigeria, and with Etihad. I started out with ADC Airlines.
Okay.
5 different cultures, 5 different companies, 5 different business models, 5 different business culture. So for me, sorry, I don't, it's just every day I live what I've learned. Every day I bring to bear the things that make me who I am with my job.
Okay. Oh, sorry, yeah. No, I was listening to what you're saying. I was really internalizing what you were saying. I think it's amazing that you've been with so many different airlines. The one that really piqued interest in me was Etihad. That's kind of like the Arabian type of side, isn't it?
It's the national carrier for the UAE.
Oh, exactly. So, wow. Which one did you find that you found most culturally, should I say different? Like, which one did you find to be most interesting? Have you had any experience? Sorry.
No, speak, please. I'm listening.
I was just wondering, like, because you've been in the industry for so long, what experience has really made you think this is so different to the culture that you've grown up in primarily? If you have one, if you don't, that's fine.
No, it's all right. Experience it's a life thing, cradle to grave. But work experience and life experience are interwoven for me. Until recently, there was a time I used to wake up and be at work at 5 a.m. And sometimes you don't leave for a day, go off the next day. But what's important is the most dynamic of most cosmopolitan of airlines I've worked with is Etihad. There are people from all over the world working here. So in comparison to when I was with Lufthansa, Lufthansa had a lot of nationals working, especially in the cabin section, not in the front. You had some as well. But the moment you open your door in the UAE, it's like you're in the United Nations. It's everybody in the world that is there. So it quickly helps you understand that you must deepen your ability to respect opinions. You must be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things. You must be patient enough to learn that the person in front of you is as important or has an opinion as important as yours. So basically, it just helps you understand that you can't watch this by itself. You have to rub hands to be able to make it work, you know. So, yeah.
I think that's really cool that you said UAE seemed to pique interest in you, simply because I have some experience there. So it's nice to hear that someone else has experienced something similar. But I just wanted to open the floor to anyone else, see if they had any other questions. Otherwise, I've got maybe 2 more. If anyone else wanted to ask any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. No? Okay, that's fine. I've got a whole bunch of questions here for you, so let me have a look and see. See, all of you, I basically asked if anything ever gets boring for you, because you did mention something about documentation. So in that kind of department, does anything ever get boring for you?
Documentation is a byproduct of what you need to do as an airport person, depending on what your role is. I have a helicopter view of what goes on in the entire operation. Now, what is important is with the person who handles documentation, the regulations change daily, especially with COVID now. It's changed so much the way we do things. It's changed so much the way we do things. So you're leaving Lagos, for instance, the rule that applies for you to leave Lagos first must be considered in accepting you. The transit points you're going through Abu Dhabi, the rules in Abu Dhabi also must be considered if you're allowed to pass through. Meanwhile, your final destination is New York. So documentation is a fundamental yet an integral part of decision making for travelers. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it did. You basically, what I took from it is that it's a central part of airports in general, the industry. Like, it goes without saying that documentation is integral to that industry. So no, it makes sense. Another thing that really piqued my interest in what you said is you mentioned something about the department where you have to basically pull people aside and say, hello, can we have a chat? Is that a department that you've been a part of before? If so, can you tell us something about it? Because I'm always watching it on TV. I'd love to hear it firsthand.
It is part of my responsibility. If you have inadequate documentation or you have a discrepancy with your documentation, then it's my job to pull you aside. Because if I don't, that could mean trouble for the airline, because some countries slap as much as $2,000, $3,000 fines for infringements. So it is important that whoever is traveling must have adequate documentation or proper documentation for the trip.
Wow. And even, do you know what, even that line that you mentioned, I've seen it and I've heard it so many times in different movies. It sounds so calming when really and truly it's such a serious issue. Hello, can we have a chat? And all of you always manage to sound so calm throughout when really and truly, you know, there's trouble on the other side of the line. I find that really interesting. And it's no wonder that you never grow tired of your role.
You have to be polite about this, because you don't know what the person is capable of doing. So all you are interested in is, are your documents in order? Have you done all that you should do? Mind you, the responsibility of the traveler is everything that concerns him or her. I'm just checking that the things you are supposed to have taken care of, you truly have. If you haven't, then my job is to remind you that you have 1 or 2 things short that you need to go and sort out and come back again for the next flight.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Especially the line about you don't know what's capable, especially with all of these different cultures passing through the airport, you don't know just the differences in cultures really and what anyone can do. So no, that makes sense. Let me look at my big list of questions and see, because I do believe that was one of, oh, we've got someone that has a question. Let me see.
Can you rephrase that question for me, please?
It wasn't a question, I was just agreeing with what you said. And what is this? I have a question. Oh, yep. Tanyo has a question for you.
Please.
I believe she's here.
Hi, hi, Mr. Percy. This is Tanyo, DIL Ambassador from the UK.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. It's great to have you here today. I just had some prepared questions for you. Thank you. So I read in an article that you're known for your meticulousness, which I think is fantastic. However, I'm aware that in the building of some industries, these skills can be received both positively and negatively, from what I remember from school, for example. So reflecting on your school days, were these traits always applauded? And if not, what can you tell the DIL ambassadors about honing traits that are in their natural skill set?
May I ask that you speak slowly, please?
Sorry.
No, nothing to be sorry about. I just need to get the question properly.
Okay. So I was saying that I read that you are very skilled and meticulous, which I think is great. But I'm aware that in some industries and in the building of some industries that this sort of skill can be received both positively and negatively, such as in school institutions. So I was saying, reflecting on your school days, were these traits always applauded? And if not, what can you tell the DIL ambassadors about honing traits that are in their natural skill set?
I think the way the world is going, first of all, thank you very much for that. The way the world is going now, I think it's skills that we all have to develop right now, because AI is taking over practically everything. Those things that it can't take over, I think, are the skills we bring to bear. AI is without emotions. People are emotions. Situations are emotional. Challenges are driven by emotion. So for me, when you say meticulous, yeah, sometimes it's seen as a positive, sometimes it's seen negatively. It depends on who you are dealing with. That said, what is required of me at every point of my career, of my executing my roles, wherever it is I've worked, has always been, first of all, integrity. It is priceless. You can't undo an integrity issue once you've undone it. I don't know if that makes sense. So whatever your role requires, give it 150%. It means you are putting your word on the table. If it's like when somebody approaches me and says, oh, I want to use you as, I would like to use you as a reference on my CV. The first question I ask myself is, do I know this person enough to want to put my integrity on this person? Because once my name is on that CV and it goes out and the person doesn't live up to what they've said on that CV, it comes back to me. So integrity is very vital in all we do. My industry is driven by trust. Somebody sits in Abu Dhabi and has entrusted me with a $250 million equipment. Why would I take decisions about it lightly? Why should I? Human lives are invaluable. You can't put a price on a person. It's a potential that sits in you, that sits in me. Nobody can put value to my potentials. So I must treat you or every single person going into that aircraft with utmost respect, number one, utmost scrutiny because of the industry we're in. It's like being in the financial sector. Yes, I know you're my friend. We have a couple of beers after work. But when it comes to when I'm sitting in front of that role, it is me you see, but it's a role that I'm executing. And I must do it to the best of my knowledge. Integrity is what you build over time. It takes 20, 40 years for someone to build, and it takes just one single error. It could be an honest-to-God mistake. It could be the once in your life you decide, let me do it different, and your integrity is called to question. So I don't know if I've answered you, but what is important for me is my job requires the highest of standards in terms of integrity. The decisions I make or fail to make, and if I can't make a decision because I'm not equipped at that point in time to make that decision, I'm never too proud to say, give me 5, 20 minutes, I'll come back to you. I need to check with somebody else. Or I pass it to somebody else who can take care of that decision, even if it means I have to own it. But then again, it's shared responsibility. It's not about me as a person. It's a teamwork or a team situation, bearing in mind that some are strong at certain things, they're not so strong at certain things. So you have to learn to play people to the best of their strengths and support whatever it is they're not so strong at. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It even brings me to my next one, but just a couple of things before I move on. You mentioned, you talked about giving value and being a team player. I'm not sure if you've always been so confident, but it seems as if you're very, no. So it seems as if you've built your confidence at least. So what could you tell the ambassadors about giving 150%, as you said, despite perhaps not being the most confident or being new to a team or being there but being a little bit worried?
If I understand you correctly, how do you build confidence? Is that what you're saying? How does one build confidence? Confidence comes from knowledge.
Okay.
First of all, whatever you are applying for, learn about it. Immerse yourself in it. Read about it. Before I came here today, there were a few online courses I had to take because of my work. Like I said, it's a changing environment we are in right now. So what was yesterday isn't today and may not be tomorrow. And the only way I can bridge that gap is to know what is going on. So when I'm asked a question, even I want to put a spin to this. Sometimes lying to someone confidently, the person believes you. But confidence basically is a function of knowledge and practice. I know it, I've lived it, I practice it, I grow it. Knowledge is not stagnant, it's dynamic, it's constantly. The world we live in changes every day. Like I said, 20-something years ago, things were being done manually. You had to sit down, punch calculators, blah, 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 run all over the place like a lunatic, just to make sure your flight doesn't depart late. Now, it's a 5-10 minutes situation, boom, and it's done. And it comes out in the aircraft. In the past, you would have it done and then run another 400 yards to the aircraft. So knowledge, basically, I can do what I do now because I have walked my talk, or I have walked my talk basically. What it is the person at ticketing desk is doing, I have done. What the person at the check-in counter is doing, I have done. What the guy doing weight and balance is doing, I have done. So if you say something, I can actually mentally check what you've said, if it's correct or not. And if it isn't, I gently remind you, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And that in itself gives two things to the person. One, a check, and two, it reminds the person, cross your T's and dot your I's before you come. So it means doing what you do correctly the first time, every time. And you know, the confidence is built over years. Me speaking now, probably if you spoke to me 10 years ago, I may not be as confident as I am. But then again, like I said, it's all about where I've been, where I'm at, the courses I've done, the courses I'm doing, the kind of places and people I meet. And funny enough, I have a life coach. So I still know that there's a lot more to learn because there's still so much more to give. It's all about constantly and consistently learning. Learn, unlearn, relearn. That's the word.
Learn, sorry, I missed that last bit, Mr. Percy. It phrased that. You said learn and relearn.
Learn new things. Learn old things and relearn the things that have changed. So it's learn, unlearn, relearn. That's the only way we can survive in this world right now. You have to be teachable. You've got to be open to new ideas. You've got to be like a child, constantly asking why, how.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Percy. Thank you very much. And it just highlights that you should also put yourself out there, not be afraid if you do get it wrong anyway.
Exactly. Thank you. I missed that out. I've made some huge mistakes, rest assured. But guess what? They're part of what you sell as experience. Mistakes you've made are experiences as well. They just teach you how best or differently to do things.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Percy.
You're welcome.
Oh, just before I ask my last question, just wanted to throw out there again, if anyone had a question they wanted to ask. If
all right.
not,
I think I have one also. Good day, Mr. Percy. My name is 𝐏𝐞𝐫𝐤𝐲. I'm from Nigeria. I'm one of the
Good day.
ambassadors.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. I watched a film actually. This one is about the airline. You said you work with Etihad. I want to ask which one is better now. I watched the film recently, about 3 to 4 days ago. The name is The Captain. Now, in The Captain, at the end of it, is talking about this Chinese airline, Sichuan Airline or something. It says that Sichuan Airline is one of the best user-friendly, passenger-friendly airlines in the world. Is that true?
Etihad is the best airline in the world. I work with Etihad. That is what I will say. I can't dispute what I don't know. I've never flown them. I don't know about them. But one thing I will say for sure is every airline, there are different types of airlines. There are the legacy airlines, i.e. the Lufthansa, the British Airways, the Etihad, the Emirates of this world. And those are called the legacy airlines. And then there are the no-frill airlines, the low-budget airlines, Ryanair, Jet Air, SpiceJet, Indigo, the rest of them. The two business models, there are two separate business models that are very clear-cut. So you can't compare one with the other. Now, if we're speaking in terms of legacy airlines, i.e. Etihad, Emirates, KLM, the rest of them, each airline has its unique selling point. So it depends on what it is you are looking for as a person. But if I have to answer from an individual's perspective, assuming I don't work for an airline, what do I expect? I fly as well. So what do I expect? I expect that the aircraft is clean. I expect that the staff of the airline are polite. I expect that the airline departs when it says it will depart. Punctuality. I want to get a sense of safety and security. These are the things that will make me sit back, pick up a book and read, or eat and sleep. if I don't have that sense, in all of my flying experience, there's one time I flew and I was afraid. I've never, ever been afraid of flying. But I got into a plane and I was almost a nervous wreck. So, fortunately, it was a 50-minute flight, but from the moment the door shut, something about the whole experience just wasn't nice. Will I fly them again? I haven't flown them since then. So, your question, I don't know if I've answered it. I am not in a position to speak about a product I have not experienced. That's just it.
All right, so thank you, sir. You've answered the question quite nice.
Does anyone else have a question before I ask my last closing question, or no? Feel free to interrupt me if anyone does. But the last question I had, it was even a bit personal to myself, but I noticed you said before when you finished your studies, you weren't sure which direction to go in, but what you did know is that you wanted to go into an industry where you wouldn't get bored. So do you have any advice for any DIL ambassadors that are currently finishing off school that don't know what career direction they want to go in?
Yes. It's unfortunate the world we're in, and I'm speaking in the context of Nigeria, that people think gratis. They think gratification before anything else. Passion drives everything. Whatever it is you want to do, first of all, is to find out, what do you love doing? What do you wake up and you think you can do as a person? Once you can find something you are passionate about, or you know within yourself, like I said, right from when I was a child and in the university, I've always had my people skills together. I make friends easily, I break into crowds very easily. I'm not shy, I'm not afraid. I don't have fears of being turned down or told off. So for me, in this industry, it makes it easy to relate. I can open any door at any time. So you have to know what your strengths are, and you hone them, you develop them. If you're unsure, sit down and write 10 things that are great about you as a person.
Yeah.
And try and write down 10 things that are not so great about you. But don't see them as deficiencies. See them as opportunities for growth. Now, when you have these two things side by side, the ones that require development, identify people you can turn to who can help you. Mentors, coaches, people in the industry you are thinking of going into. I still spoke to a friend of mine 3 nights ago that I needed for him to mentor or coach me, because I find that I have some opportunities for development, for lack of a better word to say. So even I as a person, I still know that I'm imperfect. But my imperfection, I must be able to identify them. Once I've identified my imperfections, I must look for somebody who can help me improve on them. Because they become my sphere of concern.
Yeah.
So the smaller my sphere of concern is, the wider my sphere of influence becomes. So in plain English, you're at the point of leaving secondary school, ask yourself, what am I great at? If you're an artist, follow your passion. Money will come. But money is everything.
Sorry, I'm writing down everything you're saying.
Sorry?
Sorry, I'm writing down what you're saying. It's making sense. So I'm writing it down.
Find what you love doing. Find what you are good at. Grow yourself at that skill. You'll be amazed at where it will take you. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with not knowing something. It just says, I have an opportunity to fill my bucket, to make this bucket full. I've got 7 buckets full already. I have 25 other buckets that need filling. But the things they need filling for are things that help me further myself, that further help me build my capacity, that further expands my area of influence. But if I don't recognize them and embrace them, they become a problem unto me for the rest of my life. So simply put, I'm in secondary school. I wish I knew this back then anyway. What am I good at? If you can identify what you are good at that stage in life, it is easier to navigate through life, professionally and otherwise. If you know what your strengths are as a person, it's energy. Find somebody who can help direct and manage that energy. If you find things that you are not so good at, it's opportunity to grow. Don't see them as deficiencies. No, they are not. They are opportunities that need to grow. Find who can help you. Go to school, read books, read manuals, go online. University of YouTube, you can get a PhD there.
It's true. You can find anything on YouTube. I like that. Your weaknesses aren't deficiencies. I feel like if a lot more of us knew that, we'd really thrive a lot better. We'd really thrive a lot better in a lot of the things that we do. Do you have any more tips in regard to leaving school? Because this is all applying to me. Everything you're saying right now, I'm going to take on board. I've got my notebook over there ready to write the 10 strengths I had and the 10 weaknesses. So anything else you've got, feel free to share.
I think it's just be enthusiastic about life.
Yeah?
Have a positive approach to life.
Okay.
These are things I've learned as an older person. I wish I knew them as a younger person. Maybe I wouldn't have been snotty and stuck up and nose in the air as a teenager.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So humility, that's the word, humility. When you are humble, people are ready to help and guide and grow and support you.
Yeah.
Humility is learning to say, I don't know, please help. It's like a child. Once you do this, somebody picks you up. So have that mentality as well, like a child. A child is always asking why, how, when. So as an adult, make questions your best tools. They help you know more. They help you learn more. Above all else, learn to listen. It's one of my areas of development as well.
You know what? Everything you're saying is going to make its way to my personal journal because you've mentioned a few staple phrases. Make questions your best tools. Your weaknesses aren't deficiencies. Be enthusiastic. I'm going to write them all down. Just in case we don't get the opportunity to speak again, I'm going to remember everything you said. Oh, someone's got a question.
On LinkedIn, if you ever have questions, just pop them in LinkedIn. I check at least 2-3 times a week. I'll definitely respond.
Oh, I'll connect with you as soon as this phone call's over. I'll be right over there. You've got another question. We've got another question.
Hello, the question is from me. My name is Rosie and I'm a DIL Ambassador from the UK. My question for you is, you seem so passionate for your job and love the industry. How do you motivate and encourage yourself to be even better than yesterday, especially when staying organized and on top of everything happening every day?
I read a book a long time ago. It was recommended to me in business school. It's by 𝐏𝐞𝐫𝐜𝐢𝐯. It says, only the paranoid survive. If you can get your hands on that book, it's old, but it's still relevant. For every role advertised right now, in this country especially, at least 700 people apply for that role. So for you to be relevant, you have to grow your skills. For you to remain relevant, you need to be knowledgeable. We're living in a knowledge-driven world right now. There's no room for ignorance, for lack of a better word. I don't know is all right, but the moment you realize you don't know, go seeking information that makes you know.
Yeah.
So I wake up every day, ask myself what can go wrong today? What did I do wrong yesterday that must not repeat today? I try to keep a to-do list. I'm not diligent about it. But I try to stay organized. By Saturday, Sunday, for instance, I don't work. So I try to put my week into perspective on a Saturday or Sunday. Worst case scenario, when I get to my desk on Monday morning, I quickly stretch out my week in a diary. And I keep a book to make sure everything I'm supposed to do daily is done. When it's not done, there's got to be a reason for it and a carryover. It's just basically, like I said, if you have a passion for what you do, it's never boring, it's never plenty work, it's just fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, definitely. Yes, it does. Thank you. And I see how important it is to develop your skills, especially how so many people are at home now with all the spare time that they have. They can take it as a great opportunity to just work and develop themselves, like to work on the things that they know they're not so good at, or even for people at school to work on the subject, to go and, because we have the internet with so many different resources to go and help themselves. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Of course. So I'm just going to pass on to DIL Global for the closing. If you would just like to unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you so much, Percy. Wow. You see, you've talked about so many things that actually key in with the way I feel. Passion is one thing. It's so crazy because, like you were saying, when you work with passion, you'll never work another day. Because when you're passionate about something, you don't even feel the time go. You don't see the time go, and you don't feel the time go. Percy, Terry was saying that, just in case you don't come on the platform again, she needs to fill her journal. You are coming back on the platform. You have to, because there's so many things you're sharing with the kids.
I'm here.
And again, this is where I say to you that, I'm taking advantage of the friendship, and I need you. You're definitely coming on, please, because the time just goes by. Because it's so obvious how passionate you are. Pardon?
I'm surprised at how quickly time's passed.
Yes, and that's what tends to happen when you're passionate about something. When you love something, it just flows naturally. And it's because that's, I keep on saying to speakers that are coming on, when they say, oh, what should we come and talk about? When I say to them that, you know what, please talk about what you're passionate about. It seems as though I'm being like flaky. No, I'm not. Because I know that if you're passionate about a subject, you're just going to flow, and the audience are going to more or less like tune into what you're doing. And that's why I say to people, you pick a subject. Unless, of course, it's an area where I know that, okay, we have to be specific, we need to hone it in. If we don't need to, if you're passionate about what you're doing, then of course it's going to be great to just take it from that angle. Thank you so much, Mr. Uwechue, for coming on. It's been a great pleasure having you on, and I'm looking forward to the next time you do, have the time to come back. And I would like the ambassadors, whoever, the audience, anybody else, to just thank you. Well, I'm thanking you on their behalf, but maybe I have one or two that would like to say thank you.
On me personally, I'd like to say a great thank you. You filled my journal today. I'm not even going to show you how messy my handwriting is from everything I've written down. But no, I do look forward to connecting with you on LinkedIn. You've mentioned I can pop up with questions. Expect your message box to be filled. And yeah, it was great speaking to you.
Hi. Oh, sorry. It's Rosie again. I just wanted to say thank you as well, even though I just said one question, but what you said, it really did link, and I just have to say thank you, especially on behalf of ambassadors that maybe couldn't come in today. It really was a wonderful talk, and I'm extremely excited for you to come on again. Thank you.
Wow.
Also, thank you from me, Mr. Percy. This is Tanyo from the UK. It was a real joy to have. It was a joy to have you today. Not only did you teach us about new things and about life lessons, but you're funny as well. So it was a real joy. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I think my biggest gratitude is to Diorike for this opportunity. This is a first for me, actually. I've never had to do something like this, so I've learned a new skill. I'm always here, really. I'm always here, really. This is what I can give back, really. So please, just let me know if you ever need me anytime. You only need to just whistle.
You're a joker. Oh gosh. We will be whistling. But yeah, no, yes, it was lovely speaking to you. Expect a message from any of us. And yeah, that's the end of the call.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a lovely day.
Have a brilliant evening and enjoy the rest
Thank you, sir.
Cheers, everybody. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.